Woohoo! Hello, bright and shiny beacons of light. I'm Michael Sandler, your host on Inspire Nation. Welcome back. If you've ever wanted to have an out of body experience or be able to go to the other side and bring information back to this side of the veil, then do we have the show for you. Today I'll be talking with Darius J Wright, a preeminent expert in the field of out of body experiences. That's just what I want to talk with him about today, about leaving the body, traveling through different realms, and what it means for ourselves and humanity. So welcome to the show, Darius. Are you ready to shine?
Yeah, man. Let's get right into the information. I mean,
All
yeah.
right, excellent. So before we dive right into things, I guess I've got to ask, can we all have a not a near death experience? Can we all have an out of body experience?
Yeah, it's not the out of body stuff is not selective to one individual or a selective of a group of individuals. This ability is available to everybody. We all have a soul. We all have the capability and ability to do it, and even more than what I'm doing if practice. This was a very the out of body state was a very natural thing in the past. You go back into the history within this construct, beings and the original history. This was very much part of life, part of living within this physical realm, the earthly realm, while at the same time accessing everything else, accessing the multidimensionality of all things. A lot of people talk about like this ascension stuff,
Yeah.
or when are we going to reach this level of density or time and stuff. But the thing is that all of that's here right now. It's not something that you ascend to. It's the field of all thing that's always present, but it's just cut off to the physical senses. So when you come out, you just access it all. But everybody can do this. Yeah, just takes practice.
Is this the same as we hear about the new gen? And my baby just went to sleep, and she's, I think, like all of the newer generation today, they have clearer sight, which I want to ask you about your clear sight. But is that what we're talking about? Is coming back to a state of humanity where we're not separate or haven't lost that ability to see on the other side at the same time as living here?
Well, yeah, because the so you go back into just recently. Let's just go back into 30, 40 years ago, and I'll
Yeah.
just keep that at that time frame because when you go back further, a lot of the history isn't really the true history. It's just rewritten history.
Yeah.
But you go back just like 50 years ago, the you could say the consciousness level of humanity wasn't really that much, you know, there. This is where things were harder. This is where you had a lot of people from generations of that come in to lay the groundwork first. This is where you get the waves, then for other things to be, foundation laid and other things to
Yeah.
accelerate from there. So yeah, it's just getting easier and easier as information flows and more people coming in from the other side through their experiences and their ability, yeah, to just share here.
Thank you. How
Mm.
did you come in? And I think you had a fairly what's the word that I'm going to go with? You had the most, from an outsider's perspective, you had the most amazing and supportive childhood for helping you to hold on to that site.
Yeah, so I was a very, you would say, gifted child. So like the things for me were never shut down. Like I was accessing things as a child, not understanding what I was accessing. And that wasn't necessarily shut down, you
Yeah.
know, through my upbringing. It was more supported instead of, oh, don't do that. And then that's just, you could say that was the big catalyst to keep on progressing forward. That's why I said everybody has this ability. It's just what happens when you come into here, you
Yeah.
forget. Yeah. And if it's not supported, it becomes, you could say, harder as you get older, but it's not impossible. It's just harder because you need to retrain yourself to access the natural things that you were doing anyways.
Were your parents
So
asking you questions to help you? hold on to that, for instance. And forgive me, I'm thinking of my daughter Hannah Bear, and
Mm.
we want to help keep her in that clear sight. And so I'm saying, what was the blueprint that Darius had? Because I want to help everybody with this tonight, but I'm also very curious how we keep the new gen having their clear sight. Maybe that's not even a concern.
Okay, so I would say it like this. Um, anything that's like, in terms of children
Yeah,
and as a parent, anything that's logical or things like that where realistic, common sense, throw that in the trash can. Anything that is magical, anything that is possible, the impossible becomes possible. That's what you want to support
yeah,
because automatically children want to be free because it's the soul's natural essence of being is free, truly
yes,
free. So when you come into a realm that already has a major distortions in the physical body, you could say is the veil of the soul
hmm,
that glues the soul within and gives the soul a perceived limitation.
yeah,
So when you tell a child you cannot do this, it already knows because it's fresh from the other side. No, I can do these things, because your word, your mind ends up, decoding the cells within the body. So what
yeah.
you speak, you literally become. No different from what you eat, you become. So
Oh,
yeah.
super important then. So then let's go from there. We're gonna double back around to this. How would you define an OBE, an out of body experience, for us?
Okay. So an out of body state, out of body experience is no different from a near death.
Yeah,
Now, a lot of people clump this into astral projection. That's where you get the astral projection community. And there's a lot of distortions within that because it's not necessarily the true state of what you're accessing
yeah,
in terms of that's not what it's called because astral projection is you are typically majority of the time just accessing your dimensional space, your field. And this is what people are calling
yeah,
astral projection, thought forms, etc. But when someone, what I said before, an out of body state is no different from a near death. When someone has a near death experience, you don't sit there and say, oh, they've astral projected to the other side.
no,
So when you add that into the out of body, you could see that like it's, you know, so you're doing the same thing in out of bodies where you're shutting down the body to a degree.
yeah,
Now you're not shutting it down to death as when you die, but you're shutting down the electromagnetic field of the body. This is what glues the soul in. It's based off sound and frequency and a magnetic field. When this is lowered, the soul could freely exit the body. And when you exit the body, you will sit up and you'll be able to look at yourself on the bed, wherever you're set up, and see your physical body, but
yeah.
be within your soul. And your soul holds a temporary imprint of the physical body. So you'll see that there's no difference. Majority of the time, you'll see that there's no difference because your soul is physical as well.
Hmm.
The soul is more physical than the physical body that you have right now. And
What
that's
does that
that's
mean?
the yeah. So, all right. Well, when I say the soul's more physical than the physical body,
Yeah,
it's it's because right now the physical body that we're using has only a limited access to the light spectrum.
okay,
This is we add science in here. It's like 1-2% or whatever of the light spectrum that we could decode.
hmm,
So when your soul comes out, your soul accesses all of let's say, the light spectrum, all of the field of energy.
yeah.
So it's more real, more physical than what you could ever experience here because you're accessing all of it again. So we think that we're physical. When you touch something, it's physical here. But once you're out of the body, the physical or the density as well is more, you could feel everything. Everything is more, it's more real. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Let me riff off of this for a second.
Mm.
If we think of waves and particles, and we're continuously flickering in and out of this existence, but we're actually flickering, my guess is, in and out of the greater existence. Is it in a sense that
Mm.
we're spending more time on that other side and we're getting more information, light on that other side, so the other side is more real? Does that make any
Uh,
sense?
Yeah, well, the other side is more real because it's the eternal aspect
Yeah,
of who and what we really are. That's the true state. That's the real world.
yeah.
This is the you could say this is the dream
Do you
because
call it a
once you
construct?
yes, construct. Yeah. This construct, this creation, what people would also call the universe. The universe is a construct, which is one creation out of many. And this is just this one. Yeah. So yeah. Hmm.
Beautiful. So, so many questions that I can go with right now. Um, Out of body experience is the same as a near death experience. I
Hmm.
know where I want to go with this because I was talking to you before about sleep paralysis and my wife, and I have to ask about that. Before I
Yeah.
do that, what started happening to you in Morocco?
Okay. Um, so Morocco was a point in my life where you could say I had two decisions to make. One was off my path, off my course, and going there was more on my course. So to understand Morocco, I need to go backwards into the past even further,
Yeah.
back to when I was 16, which
Okay.
you would say was the true catalyst to everything. Um, but to give it a short version, back at 16, I had an experience with a being called Celeste.
Mhm.
Okay. And I didn't know how to articulate that experience at the time because it was like the near death experience, the one near death experience where it's just like I access all this information and I could just tell you the feeling that it felt unconditional
Mhm.
love. It felt this and that. But this being called Celeste was showing me everything from the creation, the first creation,
Yeah.
the my name, my soul name, how important I was, how important we all are, showing me time. Now, time are like these thin layers of glass that could be, you could actually fast forward and go back into time because everything's recorded. And
Yeah.
this was part of the universal records of everything is known to all beings on the other side. She was showing me the multitude of constructs. And like I said, no idea how to explain this. And she fast forward through event markers of where this earthly realm was going to be within my lifetime. And she showed me where it was and then
Yeah.
where it was going to be, which was a big celebration. And I'll just leave that at that for now.
Yeah. We're gonna
But
bookmark that and come back to that.
okay, okay. Um, and then basically when she showed me that, she said, "Oh, you could stay here. If you want, you could stay
Mhm.
here." And I had this it was so familiar to me, this place, that it was my home. um, that this place was my true state. And actually, back in the earthly realm, but that's what I'm calling it here. This earthly realm, people call Earth. Yeah, but it seemed like my life was a matter of seconds when I was there. Like the whole thing was just like, oh, this was just a dream because this is my true state. Yeah. And she said, if you stay here, you could stay here, but you could go back. You're going to forget what I told you. I said, no, I'm not. I'm not going to forget anything. Um, and then so I made the choice to come back because I was showing certain things and it was my soul that desired to come back to make that choice
Yeah.
because I knew that this was very temporary in terms of the greater picture of all things,
Yeah.
and that what this adds to me and all souls, it's you're experiencing the unexperienced here. When you experience the unexperienced, you gain a certain perceptional wisdom that would have never been birthed unless it was experienced. You see? And so I forgot that. Now,
Yeah.
this is why I said you need to go back into the past. Now, going to Morocco. So from 16 and then, leading up the current years, out of bodies here, out of bodies there, not much control over it. But Morocco, that's when everything started to kick off. And you could say it's part of one of the landlines or something within the realm or part of a timeline of mine where
Mhm.
it was just going to turn on. Where I was having out of body experiences uncontrollably. I could not control them. I begged them to stop because an out of body state is like having a near death. So I felt like I was dying every single night. And I was staying in the room, accessing these spaces, et cetera, et cetera. And that's when I started to learn, okay, this is how to get control over the state, how to control how to leave, how to adjust, how to
Yeah.
dial it in, so it wasn't so chaotic all the time for me. Because you end up getting burnt out. The physical body does anyways.
Well,
Mm,
and it begets the question. So I've had two NDEs. We were talking briefly about that before I went on air, and I have no other way to put it. And so I'm very curious your perspective. And integration is a bitch. Taking that
mm,
information and bringing it back to this physical plane um, can be very challenging, at least at first. And that level of understanding, you think, oh, yeah, I've been able to. No, man. To me, anyway, a lot of it didn't make sense. How have you go through a Morocco experience, and we'll get to this
mm.
condition you talked about of being fried out. How do you then navigate the earth as you're trying to make sense of it all?
Well, you navigate this realm the in accordance to who you are on the other side.
Mhm.
So, what this has done for me personally is really staying in integrity and unconditional love
Yeah,
to the best of my ability at all times, because the other side is in a state of always unconditional love. And so, coming back here with also the distortions and what's playing out here, to also
exactly.
walk that fine line, because you're, well, once you wake up and once you see it, it's not always a magical experience,
Mhm.
because you also see it all, you know. You could say, in a sense, people really want to truly master unconditional love. But to truly master unconditional love, you would have had to experience the unlovable things,
Mhm.
you see.
That makes sense.
So, mm, yeah, what do you want? Yeah.
No, what you're saying makes complete sense, and I think that is it's all a teaching. Every bit of it is a teaching. So the question is, and we're
Well,
going to
it's,
dive more. Oh,
yeah,
but you
okay.
first, please.
Well, it goes back into, if you were to sum up all of this,
Yeah,
the creation of things into one word, it would be experience. Because you can't have experience in existence, or
yeah.
experience without existence, existence without experience. So, I mean, yeah. It's,
So we'll go back to there's so many pieces. I'm gonna double back around. We're gonna have fun. We're gonna be a double
yeah.
helix here tonight of doubling back around. Um, what does sleep paralysis and I'm guessing that's what you were experiencing time after time in Morocco. What does that have to do with that out of body experience?
Okay, so sleep paralysis is the gateway to the other side, if you know how to control it. A lot of people have sleep paralysis that happens out of the blue,
Yeah.
and a lot of people fear this state. And when you fear this state, this natural sleep paralysis, then you wake up the body again, and you lose the opportunity to exit. You see. Now, once you're there, sleep paralysis is just a natural thing that happens. It's the lowering of the magnetic field of the body. And like I said, once you are fearless and you get rid
Yeah.
of the fear of death, and you know how to control that dial, you leave the body every time. That's the point of 100% consciousness, of leaving the body. Not just a dream, not just like, oh, I'm dreaming and I'm
Yeah.
leaving the body. No, it's once you learn how to control that state, once you exit, your thought process, who you are right now, does not change from when you're leaving. You're the same personality. You're the same person. So, yeah. Hmm.
So it's something my wife has experienced a bunch, and she has best way to describe it is fell out of her body once, and I think she looked
Yes.
back at her body and freaked out, and then found herself back
Back
in her
in.
body.
Yes. Yeah. So once it's cool, because now she'll know when she's in that state
Yep.
what to do. But once you leave, you make that disconnection from the body. You If your soul gets excited,
Yep.
understand this: your physical body has an electromagnetic field through the heart, which is
Okay.
it's
Makes sense.
it's a That's what's going on. You know, it's you could say generates a field.
Yep.
Now your soul has that same thing, but you could say it's heightened by like 1,000.
Okay.
So once you make that disconnection, if you get excited and too close to the body with the soul, you will start to turn on the electromagnetic field of the physical body, waking it back up. And then that's where you get pulled back in. This is where there's a lot of practice and training that goes into really understanding the process of doing this correctly, pretty
It,
much.
it
Yeah.
also makes sense with a fight or flight mechanism.
Mm.
What you're talking about is you look back, you get excited to get in fight or flight because it sounds like, and from what I've heard before, but I've never heard it associated with an OBE before, so this is fascinating. Is that in that sleep paralysis, it's actually a safety mechanism of your body to keep you from harming yourself. And so it makes sense that if you're going to be checking out of your body for a while, there's a safety mechanism to make sure that thing doesn't try to go anywhere or do anything. And then if you go into a heightened state of alert before you've gone far enough away, it's going to suck you right back in out of safety.
Not necessarily out of safety. It's not going to do that.
Yep.
It's not that the body is trying to save you or anything.
Yep.
It's just it's just what I said before, because once you create the distance,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is where, you know, you have zero. I mean, even when you leave the body, you have no connection to it.
Yeah.
But, you know, there's no silver cord either. This is like
Okay.
part of the misconception stuff. Like it's not part of it. But once you really leave and you create the distance, the proper distance from the body, then you could be jumping up, having all the excitement in the world because you've created that distance already. And this
Gotcha.
is where you could start accessing things. You could start navigating first the earthly realm here,
Mm-hmm.
seeing what's taking place in real time. I've done that many times, seeing what's taking place here. But then you access the many different layers of it. You know, you could access time, thought forms, etc. And many of the people that I've shown this to have accessed that as well. So it's just part of it, because you
Beautiful.
begin to access all things. It even goes back into Project Looking Glass as well. So when I talk about time, so Project Looking Glass is a technology that the government uses, or parts of the government system that is private uses to access potential time events. But this is technology that we're talking about. But the soul is the ultimate technology. And once you come out, you have the same ability to do that, potentials, etc. So,
Thank you. Jumping way ahead, and then I want to go to sleep
okay.
cycles, and then I want to talk about different realms. You saw cell phones on the other side of the veil, or something like that. What was that? Because you talk about organic technology. What is it, and what have
Yes.
you seen?
Yeah. So this is where you go back into the heavenly realms with that
Okay.
experience. So when you go into heavens within this entirety of this construct,
Yeah.
and something that was a shock to me, it wasn't necessarily an iPhone of a technology of that sort, but they use like tablets or iPhone looking devices.
Yeah.
And all these are is they're just devices to access certain records within that particular, you know, the construct and lives and memories, etc., of an individual soul. And that's it, nodes, but you could say access points between the stars and stuff.
Yeah.
Like they have those things. And then, you know, this is where, from coming out of that experience and also getting more information from that, and then just going, you know, back into the history of what they say, like, you know, things were written in the tablets and stuff, the stone tablets. You could say that's pretty much the same technology as well that they use within heaven, you know, because it's, you know, what we're using now,
Mhm.
forms of technology, is a very dumbed down version. It's not an organic form of technology of what I've saw them using in the heavenly realms. But yeah, that's pretty much what it is. Yeah.
Thank you. I want to go to the different realms in a minute, but first, we've talked about sleep paralysis. There's so many questions coming in about this. What can you tell us about sleep cycles? And are there points where we get in those sleep cycles where we're basically easiest, or there's the greatest propensity to get into that sleep paralysis state so that we can roll out, so to speak?
Um, it's not so it's not necessarily, I mean, it's not timing anything.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, you're timing something, but it's I wouldn't rely on that. What would rely on is just your natural ability to learn how to shut down the body. Not because when you start when you start at people start asking questions like this, it starts to go into, okay, so what sort of light do I need? And this and it's they're missing the point a little
Yeah.
bit, you know. It's because it's all based off individuals as well.
Makes sense.
Of Yeah. So I mean, sometimes I can shut down the body in like 30 minutes, and I'm just out, you know, because my ability to shut the body down
Yeah.
has vastly improved through practice. Sometimes it takes me 3, 4, 5 hours, give or take. And
Yeah.
this is the, you know, the range where people just give up and then they don't achieve it because they don't have the discipline that's required in order to achieve it. This is why I said it takes a lot of practice. It's not just a do this, do that. It's do these things, then apply them
Mhm.
for a long period of time until you become accustomed to the certain sensations to leave the body. So yeah.
Very good. So now, and we're going to look at some pictures in a few minutes. Oh, where do we begin to understand the other side? And my guess is that you've gone so far that we won't, as a general rule, have the basis for understanding. It'd be like trying to, well, I've a dear friend staying with us, Mark Hewitt, who
Mm.
has a type of math called Fibonacci that answers so many questions of the universe, but he'll show me a formula for it. It's three-dimensional math. And it's so far above my head, I don't have a foundation. What is, where do we start to understand these constructs and what's really on the other side?
Okay. So it's I don't think I think everything's really simple to understand.
Yeah.
If um I mean sometimes I could overcomplicate things. And I my thing is simplicity.
Yeah.
You know, because the you know, if you could simplify the complex, and that's the genius part right there. Um, but did you want me to share my screen and go
Yeah.
through it?
Let's
Is
do
that
that.
okay? Um, Now a lot of these is people that have already watched my work. It's going to be repetitive, but for other people that haven't, this will be a an eye opener, I believe. So now there's a lot of slides here, and I'm not going to go through everything. I'm just going to go through the most crucial ones and stuff
Yeah.
that I believe, because this just goes, you know, goes
Holy
on.
smokes.
Um,
And these
but
are, and we discussed this beforehand, these are images that you drew that you took to AI to help enhance them to be able to share with people what you're seeing on the other side.
yeah. So it's basically some of them are sketched first,
Yeah.
and or some of them are, you know, I'm just creating them as I go to try to find whatever the images that best depict that which I saw
Yeah.
to the best of what I could do. Um, but I would say the most basic place to start is this construct, and that's sort of what you're seeing here. Now, maybe I could expand this a little bit more. Yeah. So that's sort of what you're seeing here, the construct. Now, what
Okay.
people call, let's just say what scientists call the universe, and you know, all the galaxies and stuff like that. This is what I'm saying here. This is what that is. This construct contains all of things.
Mhm.
This construct is the center. Realm one is the center of all creation within this particular construct, because there's multiple of them. You know, this is where you'll end up going into. I'll just go to this one, where you have multitude of constructs all stacked on God's shelves.
Yeah.
So that this isn't just the one.
How
It's
do you define a construct? And is a construct a different reality? What are we looking at?
okay. So if you were to leave fully,
Mhm. Yeah.
death, the point of no return, or a near death out of body state where you pop out of the construct completely, this is how it would be viewed from the other side, what you're seeing here. And this is the, you could say, from God's point of view, from the outside of all of it,
Yeah.
you could say, yeah, where you could see the many different creations of of constructs of, we'll just say in simpler terms for people to understand it, the many different creations of earth, or
Okay.
earthly, stuff like that. Now, these places are created through first the thought and the spoken word,
Okay.
and in each individual soul creates these places to delight in their pleasures, what their soul wants to experience, what they desire to experience on the other side, because a soul has no limitation. You on the other side are the ultimate authority, same with every other soul, and you have the ultimate ability to do as you will. You can't have ultimate expression of freedom with a limitation, and the soul is not limited, and the soul
Yeah.
cannot be measured, because it's the what it can create is unlimited. Yeah. So this is the construct, as what I was told on the other side, is this was the creation to experience that which we are not on the other side. So the forms of limitation, the unexperienced, and the unexperienced therefore gives you the unforeseen events, etc. And so this is where, we come into this construct, come into this
Mhm.
realm, particularly into the earthly realm, realm one, because there's a total of 12 layers to this. You could say this is where you get the multidimensionality of this
Yeah.
place, or, what people call the toroidal field, where you have many different worlds coexisting within the same state, same place. And this is where you get this image here, like, the 12 realms and stuff,
Yeah.
where it's, there's multiple planes of existence within this construct. This is where you get the galactic races. This is where you get the, what people call the Anunnaki beings, what you get, the heavenly realms, the angelic realms, the seraphim, and, the heavenly realms and all that, all contained within a singular construct here. Yeah. Um, and I'll go into this one too. Uh, so this is when I was viewing this for the first time,
Yeah.
and I was the waters above and etc. Seeing the many different creations of this, you could say from the outside, when you look into this construct, you could say it's like God looking inside of His creation. And I'm just using God, and because people could understand that, but it's not one being that creates all of these things. It's
Yeah.
all individual souls which create this. And this was the image that I used on the right here to also go into more, try to give people an understanding of the layers within this 12 realms. Now they're all stacked on one another, etc. They're coexisting,
Yeah.
and part of the Stargate system. So when you go into the Stargates, the core of this realm, or also even the sun as well, because the sun isn't, it's not really a physical thing. The sun is actually coming from all of these. You're getting light through the sun due to all of the multidimensional aspects that's shining through. That's why you go through these stargates. You're able to access the many different realms, and even outside
Okay.
of it completely when you go to the 12th stargate. This is why it's important as well. The body is perfectly mirrored off this construct design. This is where you get the original 12 helix DNA strand, or the 12 chakras, etc., because the physical bodies are perfectly mirrored off of this construct design. It's as above, so below, as within, so without. Um, this was another one too, that basically, the corners of the earth, the earthly realm, this construct, how it is on the other side. Um, I went into this one too. That
Going back to the
also,
Earth for a second, somebody asked,
yeah.
one of the guests, one of the audience members asked, if you go from a high enough plane, is the Earth more flat, and then it becomes more egg shaped the closer that you get to it?
Okay, so I mean, based off what I have seen
Hmm.
through my own experience, yeah, um, is this is, you could say, you have the waters above, the
Yeah.
firmament, and the plane. That's exactly what this image is showing here. So as you zoom in, um, that's exactly as close. I would say through viewing it, it could be improved, but this would be 90% accuracy of what I saw.
Yeah.
Could even go 80, because things could be improved. But it's on the other side, beings are viewing, souls. Souls are actually viewing this because the souls are physical. Yeah.
Okay.
And they're viewing this place as what it's viewed here. Multi-dimensional aspect of this whole thing. Um, this is where even you go into here when I saw a version of all of these, just to depict it, the many different constructs stacked on God's shelves. And you told
Yeah.
me before we were on this call as well, before we went live, that you remember seeing like these sort of, the stacks of constructs.
I called
And I
them
was like, that's
dominoes.
exactly,
Same thing, but it was three-dimensional dominoes was the best way that I could describe it.
yeah. So you are seeing in your near death, you're being pulled out of the construct and you're able to see all of the many creations.
Mhm.
And this is just an animation, just to try to show people of how it is actually viewed. It's a very real thing. When we walk into these places, these creations, not this is the only one, this earth, this construct that we're in is the only one where you forget your full divinity of who you are.
Yeah.
But when you have all of the other ones, when you jump into these places, you don't forget who you are. Your soul goes into these experiences with full memory of what it is. And you don't forget. It's all based on pleasure, love, that base frequency of you experiencing all that is and all that your soul could ever imagine to create. Um, this is also part of the videos too, of like where I said the waters above, because everything is within here. It's based off the layers of water and stuff like that. And the many different creations here. Let me I believe this one is I think this one goes into a little bit more. I just stacked them all together so people could
Yeah.
see and stuff.
Everybody's
Um,
super appreciative.
yeah, okay. Well, thank you. Yeah, so it's just like I said before, the the vastness to creation is endless because it's you there's no end to all of creation. You'll never reach the end point to it. If you could stop thinking or you can't imagine something, then you've reached the end of, you could say, your consciousness,
Mhm.
because your consciousness, who you are, is constantly creating based off experiences. So what you experience, then you go back in on the other side to create new things, new experiences. The unexperienced was what we're experiencing now, which is experiencing what it is, what it's like not to be God. Yeah, because each individual soul is that. No one's better or greater than each individual soul. The only thing you could say that where a soul is greater, and I'm using that in quotation
Yeah.
marks, is based off the soul's experience. Yeah, and that you could say that's the ultimate form of, if I could put a, based off here, money. That's the ultimate form of wealth on the other side, the soul's experience, because through all that experience that the soul has, it's able to create things for other souls to delight in and experience that as well. But it doesn't mean. Do you get what I'm trying to say there?
I do, and it's
Okay.
I'm kind of mind warped into a dozen paradoxes here because it
Okay.
brings up the question: old soul, new soul. But if there are no such thing, because there is no end to time and there is no beginning of time, then everybody has an equal amount of experiences. It's just where they put their chips to have the experiences. Is that it? You may be more experienced at the earth school. You may be more experienced in the heavenly realm or in this realm. Is that what we're talking about?
Okay. So the I'm going to go back, the the other thing that you said about new souls.
Yes.
Now there you are not necessarily, we have the ability here to bring in souls through birth.
Okay.
So when people are born here, you have the illusion of creating a new soul.
Hmm.
Yeah. But on the other side, when you're out of this construct,
Yeah.
you're not creating souls. There's a fixed number of souls, and I don't know the number to it, but there's a fixed number of souls. And this is why everybody knows each other. This is why
Okay.
when you're truly out and you go through even some of the many near-death experience stories as well, you'll find where there's a lot of matching up points here, where people say that they know all of these other souls, all of these souls that were written about in history
Yeah.
are there. Everybody knows each other. So you're not creating another soul on the other side. There's a fixed amount.
Yeah.
And I'll just, if I were to pull out a number, let me just say, 1 billion souls on the other side or something like that, our fixed amount. And we all know each other.
Yeah.
And this is why back into Celeste at 16 years old, when I was told who I am and how important I am and how important every other soul is,
Key point.
that
Yeah.
without every other soul, you could say everything would be affected. The whole creation of all things would be affected because you are connected in that aspect of a way of knowing that soul at some level.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Um, And I forgot the other thing that you said as well. So you're gonna have to recap that because I want to. Sometimes I go on rants.
That's okay.
Try
We're
to
talking about
give
we're talking
context to
about
everything.
old souls. We're
Mm,
talking about new souls. We're
mm.
talking about where our experiences come from. Because if
Oh yeah,
everybody,
yeah,
okay, go
yeah,
ahead.
yeah. So with the old souls and the new souls and the baby souls type things, it's it's not necessarily that they're a baby soul. It's
Yeah.
just it comes down to experience because once you're out, you're not viewing them as you're a baby. They are fully in their ultimate authority as a soul.
Yeah.
It's all based off experience. You could say you could feel the wisdom
Yeah.
and the knowledge pouring off that soul. You could say the more experience and wisdom that that soul has, the more light it radiates.
Okay.
Yeah, and you could feel that as well. So yeah, it's not categorizing people as baby souls. It's just based off experience, and that pours through even into this creation here, this realm. It pours through here, through the frequency. Each soul holds a certain frequency, a certain tone
Yeah.
that when the soul speaks, you could hear it. This is where people automatically will listen to somebody and they'll say, "No, I just don't agree. I don't gel with that. It doesn't feel right to me." Yeah. Because you automatically you're tuning into the signature there. This
Yeah.
is why when you become sensitive enough and you reawaken these things, all of your dormant abilities for through the out of body state, bringing abilities back into the physical body as well through heightening these your awareness,
Hmm.
you become more sensitive to just seeing again, opening up your eyes and seeing fully what's there. So,
Thank you. You
mm.
on these illustrations or videos that we're seeing, the light keeps bursting through. What is the light, and what does that have to do with anything?
It's just part of the animation there. I mean, there
No,
is
but I
light
mean
on the others.
in the construct, in the realms, what is
Mm.
light? For instance, I'll just call it on the other side of the veil. What is light and what's the significance? Because we always talk about raising your light, about shining. My term is to shine bright. What does
Yes, yeah.
light mean?
Okay, so first to understand light, you need to understand that everything comes from darkness first, the void.
Makes
You could
sense.
say the void, yeah. So the void, it's dark because it contains all the color.
Hmm.
So when you even close your eyes
Yeah.
right now, you know, you will be in darkness. You'll
Hmm.
see darkness. And it's not until you start to imagine, you start to think of something where you birth light into creation.
Mhm.
We create light through frequency, through our imagination. We are creating these things. And when you are not imagining something or thinking something, you go back into the state of the void.
Yeah.
And until you have your first thought or your spoken word to experience it, you birth all of the light to experience that when you know, talking about way out. Yeah, and this is where even biblically it goes into, you know, God created you know, the earthly realm, the firmament, and then he said, let there be light, because light is always secondary. It's a
Yeah.
secondary thing. So yeah.
Thank you. You mentioned earlier 12 realms. What are some of the different realms or the ones that you're able to share about? And what realm have you been most interested in learning about lately?
So there's a total of 12, and I won't necessarily go through all the numbers of them, just because I've had in the past before, but just to give a summary of it,
Yep.
realm one is here. Realm one is what's considered Earth,
Yep.
the earthly realm. This is where you have the most extreme things playing out. You can say the duality of things, really experiencing that which we are not to the fullest here. And what people say, hell and things like that, you could say this is the version of that in a sense, because we have come down into a place of, experiencing, like I said before, that which we're not,
Yep.
the illusion of being controlled, because you can't control the soul, but you could control the physical body. And this is where you get the experience of that. Someone could do something to me against my will
Yep.
here physically, and then therefore I'm being controlled, but you can't do that to the soul. You can't touch the soul. As you go up through the layers, what they consider galactic, the extraterrestrial races, ETs, etc. This is where you're going into the galactic races. This is realm two. And
Yep.
you go up into, with the different templates, like the realm of Eden. Eden, that the realm of Eden is a real place. That's what I've accessed. And then you go into the heavenly realms, yeah, etc. Yeah.
What is the realm of
But
Eden?
that's just so when I was in the realm of I've been there two times. The
Yep.
first time was just seeing what's the tree of life, yeah, and then
Oh,
the second, yeah, and then
can
the
can you tell
second
us what
time.
the tree of life is before we go to the second one?
Well, it's just a point within that particular realm
Yep.
where you could say it's a center point for them. It's like the Garden of Eden. Yeah.
Cool.
Um, the second time I've been there was actually just recently. This was actually I have it in my notes here. This was back in, and we're going back into June. So back in June, I was
Yep.
actually, I think it's June 7th. Yeah, June 17th of this year, I actually went back into that space of
Hmm.
Eden. And this is where I was also showing and even told that there's more involved here than what you think. Like we're all here. Like all of the you could say the army of heaven and the all of the beings are actually here
Yep.
now. And this is where you go into even where I was accessing certain things, even here, the beyond the ice wall and the Antarctica and stuff like that, seeing that a lot of the original bodies were still in stasis. The original angels were still in stasis. Like I was actually seeing that, and that's what this image here. Part of Antarctica, which was part of my targets that I was doing
Yep.
recently as well with a group. But yeah, in Antarctica, you have all of these bases, all of these, you could say, lost civilization. And part of the original bodies and stuff, they've put that original body in stasis and projected their soul into a physical form, the human form. And so that's what I was being told in detail as well, that there's, the army of heaven is here, essentially. And I don't know if I have an image to No, actually, don't. I don't have that in here to to show you that. Yeah,
What does
yeah.
it mean that the army of heaven is here? What does it mean that their bodies have been put in stasis? And does that
Hmm.
mean that here in realm number one on this earthly plane, at some point we will go down there and actually see this?
So this is where you go into here. Let me
Thank you so
what
much.
image do I have here? Okay. So this is where you go into imageries like this. Now you'll see all of the history
Hmm.
is here within this realm. All of the histories here. So you have the if you look at it, you'll find the heavenly realms history is here. The Egypt and the Anunnaki beings, the history is here through the pyramids, Atlantis, all of these different texts. All
Yeah.
of it was once here because this realm was open. Once open, all of it was open to access at one point. This is where
Hmm.
you start to get the division and the fall and stuff like that. But what I'm referring to here when I talk about that is of coming back and stuff like that. Like, you know, when people talk about like the sky event or the heavens opening up from above, it's because it sort of is like that because you're coming in from a higher frequency
Hmm.
in the, you know, you could say that space, that portal opens up from above as they come down. So
Yeah.
a lot of them, based off what I was told, yeah, they're here in the physical bodies and also all around. You know, like I said, the original body still in stasis and stuff like that. This is where you go into, which I won't. I don't think it's useful here, anyways. But this is where you go into the certain cloning facilities and stuff like that. Like these are things that I've not necessarily stuff that I'm just saying, things that I've have seen so here taking place that I tend to just not speak about, and I, you know, just because I don't think it's going to be useful to for people. So I just try to get them into a certain space to access these things themselves. And I say, go here. Now that you're
Thank you.
leaving your body, go here and see it for yourself. So
Well,
then I'm not front loading you. Yeah.
fear is a state of control.
Mm.
That's an oversimplification. It's a choice. Um, but it is an easy way to control a being while they're
I'll
on
stop.
this earthly plane, right?
I'll yeah. I'll stop sharing my screen too. I felt like yeah. Um,
So
Yes, yes. Say that again. Say that again.
fear is a mechanism of control,
Yes. It's the
and
number one way to have dominion over the soul here. Yes, is fear. And it's also the number one way to control you even when you leave the body, fear. So yeah, it's a very keep
so
it going. Yeah.
if we talk about cloning things of this sort, it becomes very easy for people to either shut down, people to get small, to forget who and what they are, or to say, "Lead me, save me."
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
if we don't understand what is going on. So when you bring that up, what is the bigger picture construct so that I can help take people from that potential trigger of fear to understand that there's something bigger, something more at play?
Okay, so this is what I'm big on too. Yeah. So part of part of my mission is to wake people up to the other side, but in order to
Yes.
do that, you need to be fearless because fear is the number one, like I said before, is the number one way to control your soul, have dominion over your soul.
Yep.
And every time when you start to expand your senses and your awareness, fear will be the thing that cuts you off. So this is why I said I'm very careful with what I say, because without laying the foundation first of individual souls here right now, understanding that they cannot be touched. You can't touch the soul. It's
Yeah.
impossible. It's your soul never dies. So without understanding your ultimate authority and your potential, and if you don't understand that, and then you start opening up, you know, the veil and seeing, then that soul is going to spiral down. That individual is going to spiral down because it doesn't have a foundation to land on to understand first.
Yep.
So there's nothing to fear. That's the if there's one thing out of anything that I talk about is do not fear anything because fear is will hold you back from accessing all things. It has for me anyways. It took me years to get rid of it. It's unnecessary.
Is there fear on the
Mm.
other side?
No, no, no. So what you end up doing is so you have what I call dimensional spaces, your field,
Yep.
your thought forms. This is what
Yep.
it's is a dream. Okay. Typically, not all the time, but when you come out, you could create, due to your power of your soul, create your own dimensional space, your field. It's almost like a bubble. Feels like that,
Okay.
anyways. And this is where your thoughts will start projecting in that field, and you'll start to experience things that you're thinking, fearful things as well.
Yep.
This is where you get near death experience people, where if they have very fear based narratives
Mm-hmm.
in their life, they do temporarily experience that until they get rid of the fear and they reach out to whatever savior that they believe in,
Mm-hmm.
and then bam, they're free. They
Yep.
access all things again. So it's the fear part that's important to get rid of, because nothing could touch your soul. It's you just can't touch it. You could try, but you can't. So it's like once you are also out as well, outside of just your dimensional space, and let's just say going up through the layers or the construct, outside of the
Yep.
construct as well, you're not in fear, because how could you be in fear when you understand who and what you really are, your ultimate authority and your divinity of who you are? We are in fear here because we are in the unknown.
Yep.
When you become, you access you start to remember again. I mean, fear is part of experiencing that which you are not. You can't experience fear and, love, unconditional love. That frequency is the most powerful. It will penetrate anything.
Well, that was going to
Yeah.
be my next question. So you led right there. What is love, and more specifically, unconditional love, and what does that have to do with anything?
So, all right, there's unchangeable things. You could say
Okay.
core truths within all of creation, and these aren't just necessarily things like I think this and it changes. These things are forever constant, regardless of how you feel
Yeah.
or what you think. And that is the number one thing is the soul has ultimate expression. It's fully able to express it's and it's not limited. You can't have ultimate expression of freedom with a limitation, just as you can't have unconditional love with a judgment. You can't say I'm unconditional and judge somebody for this. So you can't have unconditional with a judgment. The
Makes sense.
other thing is it's your consciousness. Consciousness is the dictator of the universe. Consciousness being your soul.
Yeah.
So I usually people know that I say this a lot, but it's more of like a question, for people that are new watching this, your audience. Does consciousness dictate the universe, or does the universe dictate consciousness?
Mhm.
And a lot of people underneath the false understanding that the universe is dictating consciousness, your soul. And this is where you start to go into fearful things, because you lose your power when you start to believe that, because that's not true. Who you are, the soul, is the ultimate authority over all creation. Yeah. So, and those are the pretty much the unchangeable things. And you could say the base frequency of, um, of not necessarily the base frequency, but it's the foundation of everything. And then you asked me before, what is love?
Yes.
Yeah. So when you understand that you can't have unconditional love with a judgment, and now you understand that each soul, yeah, each soul has their ultimate authority to express themselves. It's as simple as that. You are not judging another soul to experience that which they wish to experience. So when it's more of honoring. Love is
Mhm.
more of honoring the
Yep.
soul. Yeah. Honoring that soul for its fullest expression
Mhm.
of doing of that which it desires to do
Yep.
in that way. Yeah. So that's a simple way to understand it,
Well,
pretty
you
much.
talked about in the beginning being in a state of integrity, and I think
Mm.
honoring a soul is being in that state of integrity. It's in a sense
Yeah.
saying, "I see you."
Yeah. I mean, to go, for instance, what is not love? To sit there and say to a soul that is creating something on the
Yeah,
other side for itself, to sit there and say, no, I don't agree with that, and I don't, you can't do this, and you try to place limits on that soul. Well, that's not love.
yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you.
that's not the control is not love. Fear is not. Yeah.
It's an interesting time to be alive, and I go back to 16 when you met this beautiful being. I don't know if she's an angel, a guide, or friend. I think you've said it could be all of the above. Um, but she gave you this
Mhm.
vision. I think you called it a great celebration that's
Yeah,
coming.
yeah, yeah. So that's what I was shown, and to not put people in false hope, because I'm
Mm,
also very aware of not doing that hope harvesting and stuff like that. My thing is, leave your body, access the information for yourself, become truly empowered for
yeah,
yourself. Yeah, because I'm just what I'm sharing and what I'm doing is just I'm trying to show people, okay, this is the information.
yeah,
All right, now start. I'm giving you the tools to fish. Start fishing.
mhm,
You know, and start applying. Um, but the celebration was what I was shown was, you could say, a fixed event marker, a cycle in this construct that
yeah,
has happened in the past, what they call the reset, or the old world.
mhm,
These things have happened where things come to a completion, and this it's just evident in the past. So what I was showing was the celebration again
yeah,
of all things opening up to all people here, like everything becoming open once again, all of the contact from all of the other 12 realms here, all
yeah,
of the beings, everything known to all souls again. That's what I was showing. And when you look at fixed event markers,
yeah,
these things are set in stone. Yeah,
mhm,
it's the little things that aren't, like, how we navigate that and get to that point is the unknown. That's, but there are fixed events. It's like a clock. 12
yeah,
o'clock's going to come, but it's, in between when you get there. It's all variables, and you could have delays based off fear, you know. But I mean, if you take a look at what's actually happening now
yeah,
with the consciousness of individuals, you could say we're moving towards that. And I'm saying this very lightly, so I'm not getting people excited
yeah,
in that way, but we're moving towards that. Yeah, just a simple fact that things are unfolding the way they're unfolding. Children already coming in here with abilities, me coming in here with abilities already turned on, doing what I'm doing now, sharing this to your audience and people,
yeah.
and they're ready to receive it, is already evident that the level of consciousness is already there to receive information. So yeah.
Would you call that, there's the term the great awakening or the shift, or would you say this is part of that evolutionary turning of the clock of getting close to that fixed point? I call them nodal points, same concept of getting closer to
Yeah,
that
okay.
nodal point.
Yeah, yeah. It's in short, I'll just say yes. It's just everything that we do is just getting closer and closer and closer to that point.
Beautiful.
And when you get closer to this point, this is a thing that could be, when you get closer to the source of light and truth,
Hmm.
the bigger the shadow becomes.
Makes sense.
So the further you get away from the truth and light of all things, you're not going to see all of the distortions. You're not going to see all of the things playing out. Now, people are seeing things playing out on a world stage.
Yeah,
It's because at a world stage, the consciousness of individuals is getting closer and closer to the light and the truth of things. And because of that,
yeah.
you have no choice but to see everything. But true awakening is seeing all things again. So yeah.
Thank you. Let's go to, how do I put this? I've got at least a half dozen questions about this, maybe more here. Um, People who have out of body experiences, but also who've been given a mental health diagnosis.
Well, what do you mean by that?
Well,
So
here's Bernadette this year. I feel that I have
okay.
constant out of body experiences, especially with a mental health diagnosis. Can you explain that for feeling versus actual out of body experiences? It feels very similar. And I
Right.
will go to a personal friend of mine who
Mhm.
found himself having out of body experiences, which were given a diagnosis in a mental health institution and put on medication to try to keep him from having those experiences. And I
Okay.
wondered if they were
So
actually gifts that he just didn't know how to use.
okay. So a lot of I will take this out of the out of body experience and I'll just go into a lot of people that are naturally attuned. Let's just say psychics,
Yep.
mediums,
Yep.
people that are just naturally very sensitive to energy.
Yep.
So this is where it goes into the foundation again. So if you don't have a foundation, then when these abilities turn on,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it will drive someone. It could drive them into a state of thinking that they're crazy because how could you possibly start to tune into somebody's thoughts, for instance, or finish a sentence before they even said it or know what they're going to say? So it's not necessarily if you are doing those things without context, you're going to think that yeah, I'm going nuts. Even in the out of body stuff as well, doing this stuff in the beginning when controlling it and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I thought, oh no, there's no way like this, I'm going crazy, like I'm hallucinating, and these are things I was trying to disprove myself,
Yeah.
like I must be hallucinating until I started doing experiments. you know I've had group experiments done as well. People writing things on the whiteboard. I'm in another room. They write a number on the whiteboard. I come in my body, see the number 4 times in a row for four days in a row.
Yeah.
I've also had individual and I'll keep this for privacy as well. But people within a private work group that I was hosting, just selecting certain people, where teaching them how to do this and how to become more aware of the certain things that happen. But,
Yeah.
they were actually viewing in detail, the color of my couch, seeing what's inside of my environment. And so, like it's just stuff that you necessarily, without context and without a foundation for a
Mm-hmm.
soul, then yeah, you would say they will think they're going nuts and mad. But when they have context to it and a foundation to land on,
Yeah.
then that person could be stable, yeah, and actually keep these gifts and don't turn them off due to fear of thinking, oh, I'm, going in this direction. That's pretty much what it is. And you're gonna have doctors and stuff tell you, you're this and that, and but then you take a look at what has taken place. Well, let's just say 3 years ago, people listened to doctors and stuff like that 3 years ago with what they called the pandemic. But look at the result of all the deaths now from them following that advice. You know, when you look at doctors as well and all those stuff, these, I'll actually just stop there. Keep it at that. Yeah.
All right. Let's
Yeah.
go to the Hall of Memento. What
Okay.
is this? And oh, does this mean our lives are set in stone?
No, so the halls of mente is just it's just a records. It's the halls of mente are just records. It's looks like this.
Okay.
I
Let
have
me
this
back to
image
the
here.
share screen here.
Um, oh, I need to open it first. Give me a sec. I need to
Oh, take your
find
time. We'll just be bubbles on the side here.
yeah, oh good. It's this one here. Just so people could see. I mean, I don't have all the images here. but this is one of them. Let me see. Halls of Amente, right there. So this is similar to what the halls of Mente look like right
Yeah.
there. The image on the right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the halls of Mente is just where the pyramids are located. It's one of the points to access it. Now,
Mhm.
there's also many points to access this place as well. Um, but that's just one of them to access this particular hall. And this holds the whole, you could say, records of that period of time, also the information, the tools, the information through tablets. This is where also God as well. Back in the that time, you could say, let's just go back into Egypt.
Yeah.
Okay. The certain tables and stuff that they were using was to project, to put their body on a table
Yeah.
and project their soul into other bodies as well.
Wow.
So, you know, taking the soul out of the physical body that they're using into another form,
Hmm.
etc. This is also where I got the original form of baptism in the, with the biblical and stuff like that, which was basically what that actually was doing was water holds information.
Yeah.
I'll just stop sharing my screen too. Whoops. Okay, there we go. So water holds information. And so when you speak to water, it will start to take on that form. And there's many studies of this as well. So one of them, people could Google search this. I believe it's called the Rice experiment or
Okay.
something. It's probably wrong, probably saying that wrong. But if you just type in Rice experiment,
Hmm.
I love you, I hate you, it should pull up.
Yeah.
But it just shows you, somebody had two jars of rice
Yeah.
filled with water. And every single day he went to I'll just say jar A and said, I love you, and all of these things to good things. And all negative things, I hate you, I wish you would die, to the jar on the right, jar B. And in a month's time, basically the jar on the left, jar A,
Hmm.
was it was it wasn't as dark. It was actually fermenting. Jar B on the right was getting moldy. It was black,
Yeah.
almost tarry.
Wow.
So this goes into the frequency. What you speak, your words, what you're
Hmm.
speaking is a weapon as well. Yeah. And so even when you start to freeze water, there was a girl from New Zealand that was doing this experiment. And I forget her name. So I wish I knew her name so I could credit her. But she was basically freezing water, putting pictures underneath water, putting words underneath water, then freezing them. And then the frozen water would actually start to create an image of the
Wow.
word or the image
Yeah.
itself. So water contains memory. Yeah. It's also when you come into this realm, you come in through water. The soul steps into a water. That's where you enter this realm anyways. Um, but the baptism was basically it was creating a toroidal field within the water, electromagnetic field, a frequency within
Yeah.
water to also resonate the body's electromagnetic field in the cells to back to its original blueprint. You could say was for
Wow.
healing,
Yeah.
you see? And so when the person went into that charged water
Hmm.
already based off that frequency, it would start to decode the body and the cells within the body to rewire them back to its original state, its perfected state. That's where you get reborn again.
Yeah.
That that was the true. That's what I've accessed there. I was actually seeing it. Um, but yeah, that's
Very.
that's pretty much what the halls of Mente are in some context to some things that I've accessed within the halls of Mente.
Thank you.
Mm.
When you have a near death experience, it's often associated with a life review. Can you have a life review with an out of body experience? And what can you tell us about them?
Yeah, I've had a short life review. This was with my uncle though. Just showing me
Uncle
certain
Bobby?
things that I was doing. Yeah, yeah, certain things that I was doing in the present, and just showing me.
Yeah.
But yeah, you could have a life review. I've also have I didn't. It's not published yet, But David, he shared a testimonial on my YouTube channel.
Yeah.
He's someone that had a near death experience, and I just did a part two with him. And whenever that's published, people will hear. He's also through the out of body state was also showing his life review in the White Room. He was actually showing part of the reason why he was holding on to such guilt in his life
Hmm.
through the out of body state. So, in short, yes, yeah, you can.
And
Um,
is there's one of the big concerns, well, again, a method of control, is that what you do here is going to haunt you on the other side. Judgment. What can you tell us about it?
okay, so it's you can never escape yourself.
Yeah.
So no one is judging you on the other side. That really needs to be understood. There's no judgment from another soul saying, "Oh, I condemn you for this."
Yeah.
You're not going to be condemned. The only thing that will happen is you will start judging yourself for the things that you have done. That's why I said you can never escape yourself. This is why there's a transitional period for some souls. You could say even the ones that have done the most wicked things here, the unforgivable sin is a sin that you can't forgive yourself for.
Yeah.
You see? So, you're always facing yourself and you will always be the ultimate judger of yourself because yeah.
How do we, whew, move past that of judging ourselves and guilt and suicide?
Su- Suicide. I mean,
Well, if you go to the other side and you hold on to
yeah.
your guilt, if you hold on to your judgment of yourself, it sounds like it'd be a very difficult ride.
Well, yeah, this is where you're creating your own hell. I mean, and it's the time frame of how that is it's based on each individual soul,
Hmm.
but it's not necessarily like you're crossing over. And what I'm saying here is not when you cross over or you have
Yeah.
these experiences where it's going to be negative and nefarious, but if this is where it'll put you in check as well, it has for me
Yeah.
where if there's things that you're doing, withholding, etc., the greatest pain that I felt wasn't here, it was on the other side because I was judging myself for the things that I've done here. And this is where you start walking to the best of your ability, like I said in the beginning of this,
Yes.
in unconditional love and integrity. So, you know, you, what you do here doesn't matter in that aspect for yourself because you're never going to escape it. I mean, you will always be presented with it,
Yeah.
and for you to resolve that, yeah, whatever it was. If you're holding guilt now, if a soul is holding guilt now here,
Mhm.
you're gonna hold it on the other side once you leave until you resolve it. This is why when you resolve it here,
Mhm.
it creates such a it's you could say once you resolve it in the let's just say the most cut off densest part of creation.
Yeah.
So it has a catalyst effect once you leave. So yeah.
Thank you. Going big picture, will this
Mhm.
construct end? And what is or was, based on your travels, the Big Bang?
So it's the Big Bang isn't the Big Bang isn't what they say scientifically.
Yeah.
The Big Bang because that's the theory part. But if we would go into the Big Bang, that would be the first thought,
Hmm.
the first creation, like you're birthing light. That would be the Big Bang, not that the Big Bang and you have all these planets and stuff like that. It'd be the original thought, the first thought. That
Yeah.
would be from the void. And what was the other thing that you said as well?
Will this construct end? And I'm not saying that in a fear based way. This may
Yeah,
get
yeah,
back even into the shift.
yeah. Um, Based off what I was showing, okay,
Yeah.
it, this comes to a completion based off what I was showing, and I'm just
Mhm.
saying that lightly, based off what I've said in the past before, where people take that into a form of sitting back and waiting and doing
Yeah.
nothing. That's a very opposite that you want to do. So like that needs to be clearly understood as well, not to do that. But what I was showing is that everything does come to a completion
Hmm.
of the darkness of everything here going back into remembrance again. Everybody remembering, you could say, getting the heaven coming to earth in a sense, you
Yeah.
know. Right? And so in short, yes, but I'll leave it at that, just so I'm not doing anything that's stepping out of line. Yeah.
I gotcha. What is, because we looked at God's shelves, for instance, a little bit ago.
Mm.
How would you define God?
Well, we all are God. So each individual soul is God. So it's not just one thing.
Hmm.
You know, some people view it as God as just like the source of energy, but it's not even really that. It's
Yeah.
it's you, the soul. Once you are in the soul fully and completely, you, based off the images that I've shared as well, with the creation of the construct, seeing all the constructs from God shells,
Yeah.
we are, each individual soul or God's creating everything. We are the ultimate creators. And for people to not understand that and fully understand that, then they have already forgotten at the basic level
Hmm.
that we are even creator beings in the physical sense. We have imaginations, we think things, we create things here.
Yeah.
The same thing applies there. As above, so below, as within, so without. Yeah. Hmm.
Okay. What would you say brings you the greatest hope or joy or excitement about humanity?
People having all the tools again to fully see for themselves.
Yeah.
That's the when everybody fully stands again,
Hmm.
not necessarily following, not going into a savior complex, because everybody at the end of the day is the ones that are saving themselves.
Yeah.
So my my joy at this moment is doing what I was told is the great work, which is waking people up to the other side.
Yeah.
So that's where my joy comes from at this moment, because I know what awaits me on the other side. This is the thing. Like I know where I know what I do here based off what I was seeing, based off what I've seen, was shown, and experienced. So I know the steps that I walk now is all moving towards helping waking people up to their ultimate divinity of whom what they really are.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's and also seeing other people actually fully stand in that as well.
Yeah.
Like that's important, because otherwise individuals start to step into what has happened all throughout history, where they begin to worship things. The very thing that people worship, something, let's just say God itself,
Hmm.
it is a massive distortion, because you are automatically saying to yourself without even realizing it that
Yeah.
you are not the same caliber and the same soul. You're putting yourself under something when you are the same. Each soul is the same thing. They have the same capacity, the same ability to do it. So
Thank you.
it's very important to it's important for everybody to understand that. Otherwise, everything is just a waste of time at that point. Hmm.
I agree. So the question is, where can people go to find your work, to find out more, and so they can take their own out of body experience?
Um, just what I would recommend people doing
Hmm.
is first just going to my mission.
Yeah.
So if you go to my site, dariusjwright.com,
Yeah.
go to the mission. Read that. Don't even do anything else. Just read the mission.
Yeah.
See the whole point of this. Then I would recommend people looking at other interviews of that which I've done. Get the information. Look at some testimonies. Look at all those things.
Yeah.
That's where I would start, because it's just the mission in and of itself is telling people who they really are as well. And I'll just start there. And that's the beginning of my work, where people could find out about what I do in my work. Yeah.
Thank you. Leaving people today, and this has been just beautiful. I don't think words of wisdom is strong enough, but I'm going to use that. What words of wisdom, Darius, would you want to give people today?
I mean, if I've already said a lot, I mean, I'm just going to say you cannot have unconditional love with a judgment. And to always stand in your, to the best of your ability, in integrity and unconditional love. And unconditional love is not, it's not tolerating, because then that's the, this is where you get into the distorted layers where you have other people do to you and then you just tolerate it. That's not unconditional love. Yeah. But it's understanding that also, that is also a weapon as well. People misunderstand that. They truly do. The love is a weapon as well. It'll pierce through all barriers if applied correctly. It'll create things. This is what they cut you off from. They try to anyways,
Yeah.
or to get you into fear, because this is where you create from that field. Because even on the other side, when you're creating certain things, you're doing it in a state of joy and love, fulfillment. And you start cutting that off, then you're cutting yourself off from the very thing that creates everything.
Yeah.
So,
Thank you.
That's it.
Thank you. Thank you. It's rare that I'm without words, but I'm without words except for love, my brother. Love, love, love. This has been so beautiful and I think so helpful for so many. So thank you so much for everyone out there. This is Michael Sandler saying, be well, have fun. Oh, not just dive into who and what you are, but realize the true grandness, scope, amazingness, and the fact that you are God. You're a fractal, holographic representation of the everything, and you are the creator. You are the divine today. And above and beyond all else, shine bright. Woohoo! Thank you so much, my brother.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Every day there's a new horizon. Birds keep on singing, earth keeps on spinning. Time to toss any fears that rule you. Dance to vibrations, no limitations. Shine.